Unchurned is presented by UpdateAI.
It caught me off guard. The customer success team, we were already a shell of what we should have been. We needed more CSMs on that team. So I didn't know that we were even going through layoffs, and basically everyone that had been hired in the last year, less than a year ago at that point, was laid off. So I was part of that. So I just remember, like, after the call I had with my manager and with the head of HR, they were like, "This is your last day. Thank you for everything that you've done," all the things like that. And that was the end of the call, and I was done. They deleted my email and Slack channel, everything was just gone, like within seconds after that call. And I'm just kind of sitting there like, okay, I've got a good network in customer success. I know a lot of people. I got a good brand. So give it a month or two, I'll find another job. And I get on LinkedIn and start looking for customer success jobs, and I could not find jack because the market was so bad. And it made me realize, I was like, this is probably going to take a while.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to this episode of CS and BS, an Unchurned podcast series presented by UpdateAI. I'm Josh Schachter, founder and CEO of UpdateAI, and it's a pleasure to be here today with my co-host,
Jon Johnson. Hey guys, John here. I've been scaling enterprise strategy, value, and retention for the last 12 years. I currently work for user testing, where I'm the principal customer success manager for our key account segment.
And John, I'm cueing you to put your freaking mic up to your mouth there. I've never had, I have to tell you to speak louder in this show. Never will I again.
How's that, Josh?
Oh, that's so much better.
That's the
voice of God right there.
There we go.
Yeah. Well, we learned in last episode that you're a religious man. So that's the voice of God. It's more fitting now that I know about your background.
For sure. Perfect. All right.
Okay. Not that close. All right, Jared, we have with us Mr. Jared Orr. So Jared wears many hats. One of the hats that he wears is he actually is helping UpdateAI. He works with UpdateAI on producing our newsletter, which helps us with this podcast. Jared has been a senior customer success manager for many years. He has his own side business. He has a podcast on customer success, and he's just a Renaissance man.
Generally,
the Renaissance man of
guy.
Customer success. Yeah, and a great guy, and a freaking great guy. Jared, thank you for being on the show today.
Thanks, Josh. And my 2-year-old was clawing at the door as you were starting the podcast. So for those that heard, that was my 2-year-old.
Fine.
Everything's okay, though. I'm also a dad,
good.
so there's that.
You're allowed to have a life, Jared.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So I joked before we went live here, but from now on, our guests have to, when they listen to the show recording the next week or the next couple of days, the goal is to make them cry hearing their own story.
Yep.
After we had with John last week, because John, your story was really, really heartwarming. Really, honestly, like so much soul in it. And you sent Christy and myself and Mickey a voice memo because you tell us about that, John. Tell us, before we get into Jared's story, tell us about your reflection on your own story.
Yeah. And I think this is kind of like paramount to what we do here, right? We should always be reflecting on what we've learned and kind of where we're going. And I was really appreciative of, and, just thank you so much. So many people have reached out to me on LinkedIn and Slack groups just to say thank you for sharing the stories, but also for me, being able to kind of paint this picture in a conversational way was incredibly helpful to, I think, tie some of the experiences that I had with my parents that, I don't think I have really ever told in a business way. So.
Cool. Awesome. That's great. It makes me feel really good hearing that. Jared, we want to get into your story here. So tell us a little bit about, what you do.
What I do.
The CS Whisperer.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, well, I started in customer success back in 2018. I got a client advocate role at a social media marketing company, and the rest is history. Been in customer success ever since. I started creating content on LinkedIn and also blogging and podcasting back in 2020. That's really when I started to build my brand. That's how I met John. That's how I met Josh. That's how I met Christy. All the people in customer success I started meeting in 2020 when everyone was locked down, not doing anything. And I was kind of building my brand, doing all that fun stuff. So that's a very, very 10 million foot overview of what I do
now, Jared. What do you do now?
Okay. What do I do now? So I was laid off back in June, which I'm happy to talk more about. And so I'm looking for my next customer success role. So that's my shameless plug right there for those listening.
Hire me.
Yeah, right. But I also, back in July, a month after getting let off, started a copywriting business because I started content creation back in 2020. I learned that I love to blog and create content and write online. So I'm like, what if I make a business out of this? So I talked to some mentors of mine and they said, you've got the skills of a copywriter. You should probably go all in on that. I'm like, sure. So I looked into it and I decided I would start it. So Sharp Brand LLC. I think we can probably link that, my website in the description here. But I do copywriting.
You have to pay for that, but that's okay.
Yeah. It's only for paid partnerships.
We'll negotiate that after the show.
Okay. Yeah, so that's what I do. So I get to work with Josh. I just actually started working with Ezra Zimbler.
I love Ezra so much.
Yeah, I'm going to start doing some work for him. I got some other friends that I've done some one-off copywriting projects for. So I'm learning that I absolutely love this. I feel like I'm, I'm like the version of Don Draper where I'm faithful to my wife and I don't smoke cigarettes, but I'm also really, good at copy. So any Mad Men fans listening to this would get that, but yeah.
Well, you mentioned, and we'll talk about this too, but you posted something on LinkedIn this morning that I thought really resonated with a lot of folks in the industry. And it's also kind of like the thing that you're talking about. I heard somebody else say on LinkedIn that we're kind of in a choose your own adventure society and economy right now where look, there's so many people who have been laid off and so many rifts, right? And the heart of your post was, you could go spend 5 months like you have applying for jobs, which you should do. But also look at the skills that you're doing that they were paying for you at your last job or the things that you're really good at. And is there a fit for you to step out into something that is on your own? You've always been kind of an entrepreneurial guy. I remember when we first met back in 2020, you were doing a lot of the blogging and the podcasting. But what is it about you that can't sit still long enough?
What is it about me?
That has to kind of have 10 projects.
Yeah.
You and I are similar like that. You just kind of always like, oh, I'm doing this now, right? But you seem to be finding some harmony with your personality and the things that you want to do in this career.
Yeah. Well, the easy answer is I have ADHD. So, it's hard for me to sit still and not do anything. That's just how I've always been. But also, I've always been very entrepreneurial minded. Like I remember when I was a little kid, right? I would constantly be making brownies or cookies or finding random crap around the house that I could sell. I had a little table that I would bring out to my curb and to my front lawn and just sell random stuff. I remember one time I literally found 5 or 6 hats around the house, none of which were mine. They were probably on my parents. And I was like, I'm going to sell these. So I put them all on the table outside and, waved cars down. I was probably 5 or 6 years old and made maybe $10 from doing that. So it's always been the mentality that I've been in. It's just what can I work on? What can I create? And I think today in our hyper consumerism economy that we're in, I think people need to be creating something. You should be creating just as much as you're consuming, if not more, in my opinion. To me, I think that'll solve a lot of our problems if we want to get into that. But that's just how I've always been.
Jared, I want to cut over to the customer success stuff, and I actually want to get specific, if it's okay with you. You'll calibrate and what we have to filter here. You were an enterprise customer success manager with Totango. You joined in October 2022, so 13 months ago. Yep. And actually, I remember, right? I think you had just joined around the time of the Totango user conference in Miami, or maybe right afterwards. And you were there until this past July. And so you're going on 5 months now of unemployment. Can you tell us the story? Can you tell us the Totango story? Because you were there for 10 months. And I imagine that there's so many others that are in that situation where I'm guessing here, you can prove me wrong or right, that it's kind of last in, first out, LIFO, if any industrial engineers or operations research people are there listening. So it's last in, first out as far as when companies are going through a tough time or they need to make riffs. So what was that experience like for you?
Hmm. Yeah, it was. It caught me off guard. The customer success team. We were already a shell of what we should have been. We needed more CSMs at that team, on that team. So I didn't know that we were even going through layoffs, and basically everyone that had been hired in the last year, less than a year ago at that point, was laid off. So I was part of that. So I just remember, like, after the call I had with my manager and with the head of HR, they were like, "This is your last day. Thank you for everything that you've done," all the things like that. And that was the end of the call, and that was done. Like, they deleted my email and Slack channel, everything was just gone, like within seconds after that call. And I remember just kind of sitting there like, okay, I've got a good network in customer success. I know a lot of people. I got a good brand. So give it a month or two, I'll find another job. And I get on LinkedIn and start looking for customer success jobs, and I could not find jack because the market was so bad. And it made me realize, I was like, this is probably going to take a while. Holy shit. What's going to happen? Like, what am I going to do? Do I need to reinvent myself? Do I need to start a business? Do I need to pivot my career? Do I stick with this? What am I going to do? Telling my wife, obviously, was never easy. But she has been, when I listen to this is probably going to start making me cry. She has been nothing but an amazing support system for me. She has been happy every day, telling me that, she believes in me. And oh gosh, all the married men listening to this can understand how those words affect you as a person, as a man. Hearing your wife say, "I believe in you, you can do this." I'm already getting emotional. Yeah, it's what I've needed over these last 5 months, to say the least.
Well, I know every time your wife tells me that she believes in me, I feel the same way. So, same page. That's what I'm here for.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
No, but I get it. And, but also like 5 months, like that's a cycle, right? You were talking about the hero's journey before we started recording. And the analogy I think that you used was you're like at the valley right now, right? Where you get excited about an opportunity and maybe get an interview, and then maybe it doesn't go anywhere. I'd love to kind of hear what your process has been like prepping for the market. Like, did you go through a resume review? Did you hire, somebody to kind of, coach you on interview tactics? Are you trying something different this time? Or, like, what has kind of been your process and experience right now where you're looking for work? And then also, like, what kind of sucks? Like, what's been the hardship thing that maybe kind of caught you off guard about all those things that you said, right? You've got experience, you've got network, you've got people know you, like people like you, which is important. I think I've heard with jobs that they have to like you. But yeah, that's a lot of questions, but kind of give us that wrapper.
Well, I think the biggest thing that I learned very quickly was that I need to be better at going into extreme detail about what I've accomplished as a CSM, because I am competing with people who are going into extreme detail. So I need to somehow compete with that. And I've never been very good at that. I've never been good at selling myself as much as I should. So like, I hired Carly.
John's great at that. If you need to get a consultant on self-aggrandizing storytelling, you guys should hook up after the show.
We'll trade services, Jared.
Okay, appreciate that.
But John can't write, so that's the catch. So Jared, you can write for John, and John can speak for you. The match made in heaven. All right, I'm done. Carry on.
No, you're good. No, it's all good. That's basically like what I learned is like, I need to learn how to sell myself as a CSM, as a professional. So I hired Carly to basically kind of get inside of my head and be like, okay, this is how you answer this question. These are the numbers that you bring up for your KPI question and things that this is how you talk about this experience to really make it seem like you know what you're doing and you're the person for the job. So I'm grateful I did that because she kind of helped me revamp my resume and revamp my interview, tactics and styles and everything. So that's been good.
Who's Carly?
Carly, Agar. Thank you. Yeah. I first reached out to a couple career coaches and they all rejected me. So I'm like, I guess I'm just used to this now, getting rejected by everything and anything.
I didn't know you could reject that as a career coach.
Oh my gosh. I'm just like, okay, guys, seriously, I'm willing to pay you. Like, I'm paying you, like, and you're rejecting me. What is happening here?
Wait, why? So why did they reject you?
I don't don't know. That's a great question. I have been rejected so many times over the last 5 months, like more so than when I was in high school trying to try my luck with the ladies. And that's saying something because I was rejected a lot back then. And it's just like, wow.
So is the lesson here that if anybody is out of work, you should become a career coach because clearly there is a supply and demand issue for career coaching, and there's a ton of demand for career coaches?
Clearly, I don't know, man. That's a great question.
Well, if you or anybody you have loved has been victimized by a career coach, please call us and let us know.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
John, what's your cell number? We'll call this number.
Yeah. I was even asked to apply for the most creative customer success leader award, so I did. I got nominated. I even got rejected for that. I'm like, getting rejected by everything.
I got rejected too. It's fine.
Yeah. I know. You're still employed though, so rejection doesn't sting that. Well, actually, you know what? I'm kind of numb to it now. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Well, so with that in mind, man, I know we love insurance and we love benefits and we love steady paychecks. Yeah. Obviously you've got this side thing going, but given your experience and kind of where you want to go, do you see yourself moving back into, are you still kind of pursuing a full-time job with a company? And I guess what are the lessons that you've learned over the last 5 months that are maybe going to kind of shape? You said you need to be more specific, so maybe dig into that a little bit. Like give us an example of what you mean by kind of adding specifics.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, definitely still looking for a full-time gig. I think having that stability, having that insurance, especially with a 2-year-old, it's good to have. So I do think that there will be a day where I can take my copywriting business full-time. I know that's possible. Will it be something that I personally do? Who knows? That part of my journey is to be determined at this point. But as of right now, it's like, okay, I'm currently waiting for a job offer from the startup that I've been interviewing for the last month.
That's awesome.
If that doesn't work out, I'd be their first CSM hire, which is super exciting. Maybe by the time this podcast is out, I'll have the job. Who knows? But something I'm really excited about. If that doesn't work out, I've told myself I'm going to have to make a hard pivot. I'm just going to have to do it because I have a family I got to support. So I got to do something, right? So I'm considering, again, this kind of goes back to being specific. I'm not being very specific when I'm saying this, but I'm considering pivoting to program management, which is essentially being a CSM for internal employees, which sounds so fun. I think I would do really well at that. The one thing is it's really the bigger players in the game that are hiring for program managers, like the Microsoft and the Oracles of the world. So that would be one big hill I'd have to climb, but or completely pivot out of software. So I don't know. I am just at this point, I'm like, I gotta do something. So I guess I'm not really answering your question about being specific because that wasn't a very specific answer. But
I love the self-referential.
I'm gonna have to do something.
I think it's probably helpful to hear because I think there's probably others that are in your position. Right. Yeah, and I'm sorry to hear that, by the way. I'm sorry that you feel like it's coming to that head. But I have faith in you because I know you as a person, I know you professionally, and I know good things are going to come because good things happen to good people. But there's probably a lot of people that are in that position. So if anything, misery loves company, and it's good for folks to know that others are out there, facing similar decision points.
Yeah, for sure. But I'll tell you this, waking up every day, knowing that, okay, I am an entrepreneur. I have a business I'm running. I have clients that I'm working with. That just gives me so much drive to go to the gym and work out, eat a healthy breakfast, start my day, with prayer and with, just a mindset to I'm here to succeed. I'm here to help my clients succeed. I have to set my own schedule. I don't have a boss telling me what to do. I got to figure out my own KPIs. And that is so exciting to me. And the fact that I'm doing copywriting even makes me even more excited and invigorated to start each day doing something that I truly enjoy. So to me, that's a sign that I'm on the right path.
Yeah,
I'm doing the right thing. I'll tell you this. I'm not going to read it, but I wrote a LinkedIn post that I'm going to post in a year.
Yeah,
talking about all the success that I've had and where I am now because of the decisions that I'm making today.
Yeah.
That's my manifestation right there.
Well, I also love, I don't know if you see this in this, kind of analogy as well, but you're talking about a role that you're waiting for where you'd be the first CSM, right? And you're looking at maybe some like early stage startups or head of role, things like that. That's a very different experience than what you've done in the past as an enterprise CSM, right? And what you just described as building a business, capturing your own KPIs, being your own boss, doing the things that you need, like understanding what's valuable, like that absolutely will translate into what you're going to be doing for your next role, and I think, like, I'd love to kind of hear a little bit about how you're presenting that. I don't know. Do people still care if people have side gigs now? You know what I mean? Like, walk me through that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing I haven't been able to really promote it as much as I want to on LinkedIn, because I'm still looking for a role that has really nothing to do with copywriting. So I kind of got to find that balance. But I'm open about it. I mean, people usually, I've had in interviews them ask me like, "Oh, I see you have the Sharp brand thing. What's that?" I'm like, "Oh, it's a copywriting business that I've started because I've been creating content for customer success since 2020. So I decided while I'm unemployed, I can do this and hopefully get paid for it, which is what I'm doing. And I really enjoy it." So I'm very open about it, but I don't say like, "And I plan on taking it full time in a year," because then that'll, it's like, I'm going to quit in a year. That's what they hear. So I don't want to say that. And that's not even really my plan right now. So it's been interesting dynamic for sure.
Hey guys, are you open to a little role play?
A little role play.
I've always had to say no to Josh when he asked that question.
Yes, I know. And we didn't rehearse this either. Catching you guys off guard. But UpdateAI is currently hiring a CSM.
No way. Seriously?
No.
Oh.
But imagine that we were. What I would like for you to do is, I mean, why you, Jared? Why are you a great candidate for
the first
our
CSM?
Exactly. The first CSM at UpdateAI.
Yeah. Well, I've been in customer success for going on 6 years now. One of my favorite roles as a customer success manager was when I was the second CSM hire for a global software company. I was there for over 2 years. And when I left, we had over 10 CSMs. We had implemented HubSpot, Churn Zero, written out playbooks, processes, and I was involved in all of that to some extent, like some more than others. I wrote out playbooks that we ended up putting into Churn Zero. I wrote out a customer journey map, mapped out milestones that we ended up programming into Churn Zero, automating a lot of our processes and the whole customer journey. And as I was doing all this, I learned that I loved building these kind of things from scratch, from the ground up. And to me, I feel like it's almost easier to be a customer success leader at an early stage startup than it is for a larger organization, because or at least it's more fun because you're literally building things out from the ground up and you have that, you can make that early impact. So I guess to really answer your question, I have a passion for customer success. I have built out, processes for customer success teams, and I am a believer in people. I know that's not the most popular thing to say these days, but I believe in the goodness and the abilities of humans. And when you hire the right people, when you build the right team of like-minded individuals who just want to succeed, you are unstoppable. Yeah. And I want to be able to do something like that in my career, is build out that team and build out those processes. So,
Josh, John, how do you do?
I was going to say, do we get to tear him apart now and tell him why?
I'm just the one that asked the question.
Yeah,
this is the role play. I ask the questions, he responds, and you judge openly in front of audience. So he doesn't know.
No, but this is really good. I was made for this.
Do it.
Jared, I'm going to go ahead and not move forward with the next round interview, but I'd love to give you some constructive feedback.
Wow, that's harsh, man, but I like the directness.
No. But
to be fair, no one has ever asked me that question in any of the interviews I've been in.
Yeah,
no one asked me that question.
But here's the thing: I think you're on the right path. I know that was jokingly. Obviously, I don't have a job to offer you, but I really love how passionate you are about your mission, the thing that drives you. You are so good at connecting the humanness and the humanity that you offer into a role that often is pretty stagnant, right? So right off the bat, that is a huge, huge sell for you. But two things. I think, and this is something that I'm extremely passionate about. If you're coming in as a first CSM or a head of or whatever, I actually don't care about the process. I don't want to hear about the process. What I want to hear about is the impact that your decisions had on the customer and the business that you're supporting. Once you get into these, first roles and these kind of weird leadership roles where you're not like over people, sure, you can put a playbook in place, you can implement Totango, but that doesn't solve a problem. That's not identifying a customer problem. You said at the beginning of the call that you feel like you need to get more specific with your resume. And I feel like you gave all of the things that you need to get specific about in that list. However, you focused on the internal team facing. And if you're building your team, that's great. But if that team doesn't deliver, if that team doesn't identify like gaps, if it doesn't identify customer pain or identify problems, it doesn't matter if you use Totango or Churn Zero or what your playbooks look like, right? So just to kind of flip that on the head, the next time Josh throws this question on your lap, I'd really focus in on identifying like 3 key pain points that you identified that equaled whatever KPI your leadership was tracking, right? So if it's an OKR model or a V2MOM model or whatever framework you're using, really tying it into, we had, 30% churn quarter over quarter. We had no idea.
Hey, John,
why.
I have a question for you. I have a question for you.
Josh also will just cut me off when I get
not sorry for interrupting. So Jared, TLDR, ask Carly for your money back. John, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Why should I hire you for my first head of customer success?
Oh no, it's like the Golden Bachelor. Who's going to get the rose? Wait, who's the bachelor in this?
Harry.
So I would start really simply and say, I think a power that I have is identifying customer pain and getting customers to talk through outcomes on the tools that they're using. And I can show you measurable numbers on not only growth, but retention and customer engagement scores. So I'm a firm believer in using quantitative processes to understand how our customers are using our platforms and how they're not. And I've been, incredibly blessed and lucky to have the ability to build out a map from actual to ideal. And when you're coming in as a first CSM, it's important to build out a roadmap from where your customers are to where they need to be. And I can give you the steps that I have implemented in the past to bring them to that in general will bring higher retention, higher growth, and higher engagement scores for your customers.
I liked it. Yeah, it was better than Jared's. But here's the thing. There was something that both of you missed, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And John, you were getting closer to that, is metrics.
Yeah.
Like, tell me about the NRR.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about the number of customers you supported. Tell me about like the overall revenues of the company. Was it a Series B? Tell me like the actual numbers somehow. Okay, Jared, I'm hiring this role for, first customer success manager, head of customer success. Why should I hire you?
Okay.
You're regretting being on this podcast. I'm sorry, man, but you know what?
We love you. I hate role playing because I suck at it. I suck at role playing. I did theater for 7 years. For some reason, when someone says, let's do a role play and it's all about you, I turn into, I can't even like describe. It's bad. You guys just,
right. We'll put a wig on John and then there you go.
You could ask me to prom.
I'll just pretend that you're Sean King and I'm talking to you.
It's the second time.
No. Okay. So Jared, so pain point. No, and by the way, like I think the world of you, and I think the world of you as a customer success manager. I know you work personally, so this is all constructive. But yeah, like what are the pain points, like John said, and the solutions to those? Are there any stories of, well, one time I was helping this person and their dog had just died and this and that, and I saved the day, blah, blah, blah. And then what are the metrics, right? Like what are the numbers? So again, why should I hire you?
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's one experience that I've shared throughout these interviewing processes that always seems to get really good reactions from hiring managers and people that I'm talking to. When I was at Totango, I got a new batch of clients. All of them have been with us for a long time. So they weren't like brand new. They were just new to me. And I noticed that one client had really low adoption and their CEO had just given us a 0 NPS. So just recipe for absolute disaster, right? They also had a renewal in 60 days. So I'm like, okay, so the 90-day mark is already gone. I have 2 months to like somehow save these guys. So usually when I get a new client, I go through the last 6 months of call notes just to see what they've been talking about, who they've been talking to, the nature of the conversation, things like that. And I noticed that the CEO had not been in contact at all with this company, with Totango, but 2 people had, basically the 2 champions. So I'm like, I'm going to reach out to them and kind of get my way in that way. So I did. They were willing to have a conversation. So I got a call scheduled, and it went really well. I mean, they wanted Totango to be successful, and I was able to learn that the CEO simply was just very displeased with the lack of adoption and the amount of money they were spending, which is completely understandable. I didn't even mention the upcoming renewal date, but I did say this, like, okay, listen, here's what we got to do. You have an onboarding team that could easily be using Totango. So what we need to do is just build out your onboarding process in Totango. You've got to build that out step by step. So all I need from you is a step-by-step list of what a successful onboarding looks like for your team. Luckily, they had it. They sent it to me, and I said, okay, over the next month, we're going to meet every week for 45 minutes to an hour, and we're going to build out your onboarding process in Totango. We're going to map out every milestone. We are going to, create the whole process, basically. And that's what we did. We built it out. The onboard team started to adopt, which was great. So we started building out their renewal process and their escalation process and their nurture customer process and their NPS CSAT. All of that we started building out in Totango for the next month or 2. During this time, they not only renewed, but they actually ended up adding more headcount to the Totango licenses. I did ask them kind of later on, how the CEO is, seeing Totango now, and they said, we haven't heard much from him, but he seems to be more pleased with the fact that we're actually using it. I'm like, that's great.
That's good.
The live studio audience right there.
That's good. That's good.
No, I thought that was great, man. I thought it was great. Now, so if you abstract that story, so why would you be good for this role, right? If Update were hiring, what could you say? It's like, well, I excel in this, or and this is an example, a story that exemplifies that. Mm-hmm. How could you frame it to like tee yourself up to like go into that story? Because I thought that story was great. Like it's gripping, it's memorable. So what was it about what did you exemplify in that story that you could really kind of show that as a strength, talk about that as a strength, and then go straight to that story as an example of that strength? Yeah.
Well, very proactive. I think it's very hard to succeed in customer success without being a proactive individual. So that's number one. 2, my ability to, gather data. I went through the last 6 months of call notes, figured out who the main points of contact were, what they were talking about, what the issues were just by the call notes from the last 6 months. And then my ability to, get a meeting scheduled weekly and get them in a much better spot within a matter of 2 months. I think that exemplifies my ability to be a forward thinker and, really work one-on-one with customers to get to the root of their issue and to fix that issue in a very timely manner.
Yeah, dude, I love that. Man. I agree with you on all those points. I like the forward thinking part. And I think, were you to have, an opportunity to kind of go dig into that, I think it's one of those things where tying it to how you would do it in a new environment, right? So that was one story at Totango, but it's like, now you need to show them that you're going to be able to do this for them, right? In all of their, whatever it is. So I think that could also lead into a really cool opportunity to ask the founder, to ask Josh, like, what are some of the biggest problems that you're facing right now? Like, I know why you're hiring. I see the job description, but like, what are the 3 things that you expect from this role, to be completed if you were to hire me, right? And then you get those like really deep data points that you can not just talk about the high level stuff, but you get to go in and be like, oh, you know what? You have an adoption problem, or you have, whatever that is like, then you can start tying those stories into the actual problems that they have, because you're not just solving general problems, you're solving their specific problems that you just don't know yet.
Absolutely.
And just one of the rules of this role play is I ask the questions, I don't answer any. And also, if I were Jared right now, because Jared's a very smart and sharp guy, and I'd be like, F you guys, like I got my crap together. Like, thanks for all this unsolicited advice, guys. This was not why I came onto your podcast to help you out. But no, Jared, I think like if I take what you said, it was like, well, this is what defines me. These characteristics define me as a CSM. I am shoot, now I'm blanking. I'm having a senior moment. The first thing you said, oh, right. I'm proactive because proactivity matters because of X. I'm data driven because oftentimes X doesn't happen. And this is why that's important. And I'm outcome driven. And, because X. And, if you don't mind, I could share an example. I was at Totango and this happened. We had a 0 NPS and we turned the whole ship around, and they went to a head count from 12 people to 33 people and, increased the ARR by whatever. And here's how I, could see that playing out in an organization like UpdateAI. Let me ask you, are you struggling with blah, 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 blah? I mean, you have all it already. You've got all the skills already, and we're not trying to tear you down here.
That's all good.
John and
I mean,
I
I
am
am
a
a little
little
bit, but that's all right.
a little bit. John's still a little resentful of how I tore down his haircut last week. Well, actually, the barber did that
continually,
for him,
actually, not just last. Continually.
Well, I'm just jealous because I don't have hair. But in any case, yeah. I mean, Jared, like, you've got great things going for you, and you are well-spoken, by the way. And I think you actually are a good storyteller. And I remember being on your podcast, and I remember being super impressed with your storytelling. Mm-hmm. And in fact, I've actually learned a little bit about how I wanted to be a host for my podcast from being on your show. So, listen, man, I wish you the best, but it's really not wishful thinking, because I know the best is coming your way very soon. The cream rises to the top, and you're part of that cream.
Oh man, that was bad.
I don't know, but whatever.
That was bad.
I get what you're saying, though. I appreciate the sentiment. That's great.
Yeah. Hey, listeners of the BS&CS podcast, we have a cool new thing that we're playing around with in the episodes. There's this program called SpeakPipe, and it allows you to record a message to us, and we'll play it on the air. So it'll be in the show notes. And if you have any comment from today's episode, from last week's episode, questions you want to ask to the co-hosts, maybe you want to scold us for putting Jared in a kind of, unsolicited feedback situation this episode, whatever it is, we'd love for you to leave us a little voice memo. We'll put it on the air, and then most likely it'll be Christy that'll respond to it, because we know that Christy dies for that stuff. And so check it out in the show notes. John, what do you want to sign out with?
Peace. Deuces.
Peace and love.
No, Jared, I think it goes without saying, please keep digging through our contacts if there's anything that we can do for introductions. I'm excited to hear about this opportunity that's coming through. And as soon as you hear, please make sure you update the group. We love to kind of celebrate those wins with you as well. So,
of course, we'll do. Thanks,
cool.
guys. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thanks guys.